Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it. You already know. Like a torta with some snack habits. Bye. Bye. Let's get straight to this intro. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, let's go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that I stay kicking. I appreciate the support, man. I'm very humbled by it. So if you haven't watched part one yet of this video, make sure that you guys go watch part one so that way you know everything that goes into part two. But without further ado, man, let's get into part two. We're picking up where the Zapatista, an active Zapatista gang member on the SNY yard, is doing an interview, and he's talking about incidences that he's been involved in. A lot of crazy stories, man. He just got done telling a story about being celled up in high desert with a big brother, man. And in the middle of the night while he was asleep, the brother decided to choke him out. And the brother's only excuse when they went to the hole and they were placed in cages was, hey, Southsiders get off first, bro, and I wasn't going to let that happen. They're grimy and they do their thing. So, Sur gang, you know, I have to do what I have to do. Unless you're Tommy Guns with the fucking stuffed animal hanging from your pants, you know, then, you know, it's crazy. These guys nowadays, man, I'm a gangster. I got the AR, the ops are this, the ops are that. I'll kill anyone and anything, but you got a fucking stuffed animal hanging from your pants. Stop it. Anyways, back to let's see what this guy's talking about.
Many times in my life where I felt helpless. While going back to Popeye, when they took him in the ambulance, I ended up going to the hole. Like a month later, a few months later, a couple months later, I ended up going to the hole. And in the hole, that's where I had a dream. I had a dream about the main one, about Popeye. And in my dream,
you could tell that this guy's had, when he's saying Popeye, he's talking about, I think he just gave, because the guy's name is not Popeye, his Blackazo, the original guy, one of the guys who created the Zapatistas, but I think he's just giving him that name for content purposes. You know, the names shall be changed to protect the innocent type thing. And so he decided to give him that name. And he was, you know, took out on the prison yard due to politics within the Zapatistas gang. And so I could tell he has a lot of regret for what occurred. And, you know, when you start having visions and dreams about incidences that play over and over in your mind, it's because you blame yourself. You blame the situation that you're in. And that's why I tell a lot of these youngsters that are getting involved in gangs or that they think they know what's up, you're going to see a lot of things that'll make you say, a lot of things that'll make you wonder, right? So this is part of the aftermath of seeing a pegada, seeing a removal, seeing a stabbing in prison. You know, some people, they just get desensitized and they just walk over a body and it's, hey, chow time, right? They just move on. They're hardened criminals. And then there's some people that have a heart, believe it or not, right? No matter if they're willing to pick up a knife and do their thing, most of it's out of self-preservation, right? Out of safety and security of oneself. But there's a lot of people that have a heart. I was always one of those guys that had a heart, man. I knew what I was doing was bad, but I was committed, right? And, you know, what happens after that is kind of what's going on with this guy, you know, having visions and dreams and seeing that replay over in your mind, man. It's a crazy existence. It's something crazy to live with.
I was like in an old school diner, and I was sitting on the counter, and he was like in the booth all the way in the corner, and he looked at me, and he called me a murderer, and I wasn't the one that did that or nothing. I'm not gonna say who either, but I felt like, I think it was because of the eye contact that we made. And I felt like he wanted me to help him, and I didn't. And I all and I wanted to. At the same time, I wanted to, but that's how prison politics go.
See, he's absolutely right, man. That's how it goes. You find yourself caught up in a situation, you're going to be left alone. That's part of, when you're a gang member, you think, okay, I got homies, I'll back up to the death. They'll back me up to the death, until you realize they're the ones creating your death, right? Until you realize 9 times out of 10, when you're from a gang, right? When you're actively involved in participating in a cause, 9 times out of 10, the people that are going to release you from that loyalty clause, take you out, are going to be your own. And it's going to be because you went against the grain. You did something just one time. It only takes one time that is not in agreement with what they got going on, right? You could be solid your whole time, be a good homeboy, send money to the homies, look out, go out on the yard, buy people ice creams and sodas, and fucking and always be the one to bring out the good bag of fucking the shebang and all that, right? Making pieces and participating and defending the casa, the household. And then you fuck up one time, or someone comes that's dirty Max and smuts you up or whatever, and all that's over. You're now a piece of shit. You're no good, and you can lose your life. And so there are those that remember the good times, and they have regret when they see something bad to happen to you. But again, it's them or you, and it's usually going to be you.
And ever since I've had that inside my conscience, and that's why I kind of wanted to share his story as well. He was a good dude. He did start something good. When he took his last breath, it was just
Imagine seeing someone you respect, you got love for, you've eaten with, celled up with, fought hand in hand with, and you see him take his last breath in front of you over something as simple as a bad call, or maybe not jumping fast enough when something cracked off, or just someone wanting to take his position within the gang. It could be something very simple like that. And this is someone who you fucking called your homeboy. You couldn't wait to get out in the yard and do dips with them. And now you're watching him take his last breath. I understand where this guy's coming from. That could play heavy on your heart and your mind.
It's just death. That's all we see right here. So right after that, I went to the...
Did you catch that? He says, man, death, that's all we see around here. That's prison.
Oh, we end up started beefing with the 2-5ers. And when we started beefing with the 2-5ers, and we start it was kind of conflict between us.
So the 2-5ers is the oldest dropout prison gang that was created in opposition of the Sureños, the Southsiders. 99% of the 2-5ers are dropout gang members that are in bad standings with Sur gang, right? With the Southsiders. So a lot of them are from Southern California. There are 2-5ers from Northern California, Central Valley, all that, but the majority of them are dropouts or active gang members from Southern California. Now, 2-5ers, the cinqueros, right? 2-5 meaning dos cinco, the pesetas, right? Which is the centavos. It's Spanish for a Mexican quarter, a centavo, right? So, and it kind of plays, it has a double meaning. But the 2-5 gang, they are very disrespectful gang when it comes to Southsiders. There's a hatred that burns in their heart. And I think that's kind of from, they'll say, a lot of them, and I've ran into a few of them, will say it's because the way they were treated within their group or their gang and behind the walls. But a lot of them just have a hatred in their heart because they can no longer participate in the gang that they were once from. They're ostracized. They're kicked out. And there's men, man, that can't get over it. When that's all you know and you grew up like that, you still want to be a part of something. So to me, honestly, man, what started out, of course, as an organization or a group that wanted to protect themselves from active gang members, from being, stabbed and hit while on yards, turned into a whole different type of monster. And these guys push up on other non-active gangs or active just dropouts on these SNY yards and try to control the population within, right? And still utilize the tattoos, the look of the Southerners, that same mind frame, that same mindset, but do it under the guise of being anti-Southsider. And so they're hated. They're hated, man. One of the most notorious ones was Savage Studios, right? Who created a YouTube channel, kind of blew up, and people came to find out later on after he blew up, because all this bullshit would come out, that he was actually a 2-5er while incarcerated, and he tried to cover it up and tried to persuade people he wasn't. Then eventually he just embraced it and came out as a 2-5er, and he lost his life tragically. I'm not going to say it's due to that, but that definitely didn't help his cause, man. So, these guys are running around Southern California. The majority of them are, and they blend in. A lot of them will represent the 2-5 gang while incarcerated, but when they get out on the streets, for the most part, they just try to blend in with their old gang or act like they are not part of that. Nowadays, they're so deep within the system, they are getting out and actually have little pockets and little areas that they function in. They're coming out more and more. You see them on social media, grouping up and representing, but they are in direct opposition of the Zapatistas. I don't know why that beef started, but I think he's about to tell us stories on exactly what was going down.
Within the Zapatistas, what happened to Popeye. And that's why the 2-5ers, they thought that we were going to be weak. They thought they could just push us off just because we were arguing amongst each other over that.
They see an opportunity of division, and that's an art of war. That's when people strike. If you got a group that is having turmoil and conflict within, that is the perfect time to strike, because they're at their weakest point, because they have no leadership, and they're very indecisive and undecided on what they got going on. They're forgetting about the program, and so the 2-5ers seen it as a perfect opportunity. The timing was right to strike, to get rid of these guys who were. And I'm sure in the 2-5ers mindset, it was these guys were recruiting youngsters and preventing them from recruiting solid soldados for their cause, man. And it could be something as simple as that.
So one of the 2-5ers said, I'm not gonna say no names, but one of the homies, he went out to the day room. And they hit him and they tried to dolphin him from the back and stab him in the eye. And the homie, I'm gonna call him Gruñón, he ended up Gruñón.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Gruñón ended up, he pulled out two of them, 2 pieces, and he started defending himself. And he hit that dude back. And we were just in the south, just watching it. And mad ass. He was my neighbor too. We told him not to go out by himself. So that's what kind of started the war.
Now, meanwhile, be aware that this is all happening on the SNY yard. A lot of the active gang members, no disrespect, but they consider the SNY just punks and PCs and weirdos, and nothing ever happens. But I could tell you right now that SNY yards are even more so dangerous than the general population yards, because these guys are at war and they don't have to ask for permission from anyone to get off where they're mad at. They just get off consistently and constantly for no reason at all. And so this guy's saying one of his homeboys went out there, they hit him in the eye, the 2-5ers did, and he pulled out 2 pieces. The Zapatistas are known to carry 2 of them on them at all times.
So they end up going to the hole. We go locked down. 6 block ends up coming out. When 6 block comes out, no, right before 6 block came out, the other homie came out. I'm gonna call him. I'm not gonna say his real name. I'll call him Bug Eyes. Bug Eyes came out, and he came out by himself. And the homies had told him, don't go out. Like, wait for the rest of us. But Bug Eyes had balls, so he went out by himself. And there was three or two 2-5ers, and they ended up catching him by himself, and they hit him. So in the homies, when they came out, they released yard again. The cops knew everything that was going on. The cops was letting it happen. The cops wanted us to fucking get off on the 2-5ers. They wanted.
So because the 2-5ers are considered the biggest SNY group, it's probably them in the riders, right? They're about half and half as far as numbers. The writers picked up a lot of numbers in the last few years, but they are very hated by the administration and by the cops because they create a lot of conflict. They create a lot of bullshit, right? Extortion, fighting, just are a consistent thorn in the administration's ass, right? So you can see where the administration knows everything. These gang cops, they know who's who and what's when. They know the Zapatistas have a reputation of murder, right? Killing people on the yard. And so with this war going on, it's not far-fetched, like he's saying, to believe that the cops wanted this to happen. Not only does it fall right into their California model type plan to show as much violence on the prison yards as possible so that they could slam people back and give them indeterminate shoes, but also at the same time, what it's doing is it's eliminating and eradicating this gang off this yard that they don't care for, that they actually hate.
Us to hurt them because they knew that we played with weapons. So the homies insist that they end up going to the yard. They come out to the yard. It was just 10 of us over there. And when the homies came out, they waited for 10 2-5ers to come out. As soon as 10 of them came out, they rushed them and cracked off a riot. And it was a good one. People got hurt. People got stabbed on the 2-5er side, though.
Do you notice his mentality, right? Do you notice his prison mentality, how so far ingrained he is into the prison culture, right? It was a good one. It was a good ride. It was fun. Basically, like, he's reliving it in his mind. He's not glorifying, but he's enjoying, right? And that's why I say prison desensitizes you, because it gets you to the point where it's like you look forward to anything out of the ordinary. Oh, man, that shit was cool. It was a good one. It was cool, right? Ain't nothing cool about stabbing people or blood all around you. Like, that ain't cool. Shit, that's scary, right? For the average person, the normal civilian is like, hell no, I ain't going to prison. Fuck that, right? But to a person who's a convict, who's involved, it's like, it's just another day in the office. It was actually cool, right? And so it's just a trip to hear him. Also, like I said in my Bulldog video, if you watched it, if you haven't, go watch it, right? Dudes don't take too many L's, right? And so he's talking about, being involved in this riot, but if you notice, he's going to say his side won. It's always the person that's doing the interview or talking, their side always wins. It's just the way it is. I'm going to bet all my money that his side's always going to win.
I believe it was two, 3 of them that got stabbed, and that time none of us did. So then, after that riot, it was the 1 and 5 block. No, after that riot, they had to slam down, and they would only release us for pill line. So one of us, we would all go up to pill line one by one, and we would go out and do kamikazes, because we weren't going out to the pill line to go deep, and 2-5ers were. They were usually always deep. One of the homies went out there. I call him Old Man. I won't say his real name. I'll call him Old Man. Old Man went out, and he went out there kamikaze. There was 2-5ers. He ended up stabbing 2 of them. Then after he went, then after him, it was me. I went out there by myself, and I hit one, and I chased the 2-5ers. I chased 5 2-5ers with a big old banger. And I'm not saying I'm ballsy or whatever. I'm not saying I'm bad. It's just when motherfuckers see a big old piece, man, they don't know what to do.
He ain't lying about that one. SA got a knife. SA got a knife, right? He ain't mad about that one. Look, I don't care if you're Superman. I don't care if you're 55, guys. Crip Mac, right? You're a J-Cat and you just don't give a fuck about nobody or nothing. Look, it's different to talk about it, but when someone pulls a big old banger out on you, on that prison yard, and he's just used it on your homeboy and he intends to use it on you, a lot of things I'm sure go through your mind. One, ooh wee, right? The second one is, good Lord, right? People freeze up. People, it's fight or flight. You either get off for your man and drop what you got, right? Or get the fuck on. And so when he says he chased the guy, man, I understood that guy seen that big old monstrous banger and said, nope, not today, cuz. Not today.
Nobody wants to get hurt. They ended up running behind the tower, and the tower ended up shooting me 3 times with the blocker. And that's right.
I got shot like 8 times in the back with, well, I'm exaggerating. 7 times in the back with the fucking rubber bullets, right? When I got into a fight in Jamestown in the Ad Seg yard, right? I rushed a white Crip, and the officer, they're supposed to shoot the ground, it's supposed to deflect. He jumped the gun because he thought I had a weapon or whatever. Luckily, he didn't use lethal force because he could have. There's no warning shots, but he hit me several times in the back with the rubber bullets. Man, I felt every bit of that. My adrenaline was pumping, so I didn't really like. I felt the impact, but it wasn't stopping me. Right until they hit me with the OC spray. They came running through like a in between the 2 yards. There's 2 yards in the back, basically 2 cages. There's like I guess you would call it like a walkway through those, so the cops could walk back and forth. And they ran out, and I remember this female cop. She had a big old canister of the OC spray, and I had him on the ground. I was hitting him, and she just gassed me, and that made me stop. I felt the rubber bullets later on. I've told that story. The officer's name was Cope. He was a Christian dude. He came to my cell later on that day after I was all fucked up, or maybe it was the next morning, and he was like, "Hey, man, if you want to do a grievance or whatever on me, I get it. I ain't even gonna fight it." He was like, "I wasn't supposed to do that to you. I was supposed to follow procedure and protocol, but I jumped the gun." And I was like, "Nah." He goes, "I'm going to write it up as a mutual combat." It was really a unilateral assault because I got off on him. He slipped and fell, and I was on him, right? So I could have gotten an assault charge and picked up more time. But he wrote it up as a mutual combat because he knew he was in the wrong too. And I was good with that. I just got a few more days in the oil, which I was going to be there anyways. So it was what it was. But yeah, man, them rubber bullets, them black guns, they ain't no joke.
I tried to go flush that. I tried to go flush it, but it didn't fit. It was too big. I don't know why I did that. It was just an instinct. So, yeah, the cops got in the middle and everything, and I went to the hole. I ended up going to the hole, and when I went to the hole, it cracked off another riot. They ended up releasing the cops ended up taking us off of lockdown, and the bros came out. And I believe, yeah, we were outnumbered, and the 2 fighters wanted peace. And they told the brothers that they wanted peace, so they came out to talk, so the bros told them all right. And at that time, there was only 6 of us left in the yard, in 5 blocks. There was still like 8 of us left in 6 blocks. So yeah, the bros came out, and they wanted peace, and the bros told them all right. So when the bros turned around and started walking away, they started to stab us. And we ended up, the armed bros ended up going at it with them. It wasn't.
Wow. So they pulled the old okie doke. Now I'm cool. Tas. Now I'm taking all your fucking customers, right? They did the Carlos and Pockets move. Hey, I don't want no problems, right? And then Sur Gang, right? La Boo Boo. And they did their thing. Look, man, prison's not a laughing matter. I'm having fun with it, but it's not. These guys went out to try to kill the drama between the two groups. And, of course, the 2 fighters, man, pulled the sneaky move. And it ends right there, right? The interview. So you can see that they were going at it pretty viciously and violently with the 2 fighters. What trips me out about the Zapatistas, and I know this to be true because I've talked to a few of them, right? And I've heard about a lot of the incidences. And like I said, a lot of people don't even know that group exists, but they do. They've been around for a number of years now. They when he says they were going out one by one, getting off, kamikaze, that's exactly what they were doing, right? I've talked about some of the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen in prison. One of the most, and I've said it over and over again in videos, one of the most ridiculous incidences, man. I was on a 50-50 yard. Yes, I was, right? And I was in the gym, and this yard was different because it was non-active Northerners and non-active Southerners. Right. So most 2 fighters and these guys function on SNY yards, but on 50-50 yards, sometimes some of them squeeze through. So there was a rumor going around that this dude, I remember a Grenuda, man, he had long ass fucking crazy hair, right? He had come, people thought he was a 2 fighter. I didn't know if he was or not. It wasn't none of my business, right? I'm non-active Northerner. I'm worried about me and mines. But anyways, the Southerner I was cool with, man, ex-Southerner. Stomper, right? He was from Northside Bowling. That fool, he ended up owing my homeboy some money on the yard, and he paid. And I've told the story. And anyways, we're in the gym, and about 1 a.m, man, this fool wakes me up. And that's crazy in prison to get woke up. And I jump up real quick, like, what's up? Right? I'm tripping. And because I had just got him for a big bag of canteen that same day. You know, my homeboy sent me out on the yard. My homeboy was in the buildings from my city, and he was like, "Hey, bro, can you go collect for this dude for me? He's in the gym with you." I was like, "Damn, that's the homie. He's cool peoples, right?" He was like, "Just go collect, right?" It's crazy to say that, huh? Dude from up north saying the Southerner was a cool homie, but he was, right? And I ended up collecting for him and whatever. So for him to wake me up in the middle of the night, I thought, damn, maybe this fool's mad because I took the last honey bun, right? And he was just like, "Hey, bro, you've always been a solid dude." And I'm sitting there all fucking PC'd up on the bed, like, "What's going on?" Right? And he was like, "Hey, you've been a cool dude with me, bro. I appreciate you. I respect you, man. It was nice meeting you." Then he turns around, pulls out a pedazo right there in front of me, a knife, right? And just starts stabbing this dude that people were suspecting was a 2-5er who was in the gym as well. He was asleep. Snatched him up by his long ass hair, snatched his ass straight up out of the bed and started booking him. I was tripped out, like, what the fuck? It was too early for this shit, right? Or too late. But like I said, man, the 2-5ers were hated, right? And they were hated because when they accumulated numbers, they started taking advantage of the situation. You know, no disrespect or hatred towards the 2-5ers. They never did nothing bad to me. I don't hate them or nothing. I'm just keeping it real from my point of view. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this part 2, man. Some crazy stories there, man. If you guys like these, hit a 1. We're going to keep getting to them, right? Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. This video is sponsored by Barrio Liquors in Turlock, California. If you're in the Central Valley, go pull up to Turlock and get you something icy and cold to drink at the Barrio. Also, by Sticks and Stones Yard Service in Tucson, Arizona. If you're in the Tucson area, make sure that you Google Sticks and Stones if you need yard work and get a cool estimate, man. Support a small local raza businesses. This is the gun. Bang, bang.